What's up, guys? Sorry for the delay.
It's Tom's fault.
I'm Rob Whiteside. This is Deep in the Plus. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. Tonight, it's worth it. It's worth it. With us tonight is Tom Corless.
Hey, we figured it took us half hour, but we figured it out.
Yeah. So, Tom agreed to come on if we would do a watch along of one of his favorite TV shows, Disneyland.
Yeah, only park stuff. I told you it had to be park stuff.
Yeah. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do a watch along of Disneyland. Sorry, I'm completely thrown off by all this. So we're going to do Disneyland Around the Seasons. So if you guys are watching
Hold
at
on,
home,
let's hear it for Rob, who hosts Park Center, is still doing this, is running Carousel of Products, puts up with me. Thank you, Rob. We appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you. I'm going to go cry now, so it's your show.
Why, is something wrong?
No.
Okay.
It's just because it was so moving, Tom.
Oh, thank you.
So, I'm excited about this because I love this particular episode of Disneyland Around the Seasons. I've watched it a couple of times myself, and it's really special because it was the last thing that Walt really recorded or did for Disneyland. This actually aired 3 days after he passed away.
Yeah.
So I'm really, like, this one's it means a lot to me. Plus the fact that my dad was into the 1964 World's Fair. He went there. All of these great things that showcased at the 1964 World's Fair are talked about in this episode. So this is really a very cool episode of Disneyland. It's kind of like a time capsule of everything that was happening in a very cool time and yet a very sad time in the Disney company legacy.
I can't imagine watching that. Imagine watching that 3 days after, like, the biggest icon in entertainment had just passed away. Imagine everyone. I'm sure the viewership was through the roof because the people were probably like, "Oh, we got to watch on Sunday."
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. I'm going to do a countdown because are you going to watch it too?
I have it. Yeah, I have it queued up. I have my remote ready to go.
All right. And if you guys are at home, we're going to start this thing in 3, 2, 1. So what we see at the beginning are all of these, like, kind of visions of this Rocketeer type thing that they did. This was an exhibit. I assume you know that.
It was like an entertainment thing. I didn't get that. I got the cultural sensitivity thing, so I'm behind you. I got that new cultural sensitivity warning. But yeah, it was like an entertainment thing.
You tell me when you get to Tinkerbell.
I'm not there yet. He's landing now. And here's a castle. And there's Tinkerbell.
Okay. So the Wonderful World of Disney, I mean, it had many different names over time. It had Disneyland. It ended up being like the Disney Sunday Night Movie after a while. Wonderful World of Color. But at this time, it was still Disneyland, correct?
Well, it's Wonderful World of Color.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, no, Disneyland was when it was black and white, and then I believe once they were going into color, that's when it became Wonderful World of Color. And then once people were like, all right, my television's been in color for several years now, then they changed the name of it again.
Then it wasn't very special. What I don't actually kind of love about this episode is it's very rocky in the way it starts. It's very weird in the way it's cut. That it starts out with the rocket, and then it goes to the opening of World of Color. It doesn't seem to flow.
Yeah. Look at this room. This is, like you said before, what an amazing time. Like, look at the things in that room, Small World and New Orleans Square, and just what a crazy time. Like, this couple-year period just defines what the Disney parks are and would be.
Yeah. Well, your apartment looks like this now, right?
God, I wish. That'd be cool.
Yeah, the concept art, the models. I mean, this was his little playground. And I think that
Yeah.
he just loved to show this stuff off. And you can see it in his face that he just is so excited to talk about all this stuff, especially since these were his babies from the 64 World's Fair that he's now getting to showcase, live in his parks.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of a lost art, like this showcasing. I think the company sometimes forgets that the public, you know, and even not just us, like the hardcore fans, the general public loves to go to Disney parks, and you can preview whatever attractions you have coming up in a style like this, and people would gobble it up. I know we've had some stuff. I know at Pandora they did some TV stuff on ABC, like one whole week, and Star Wars they did some stuff, but nothing quite like these specials, and even stuff they did into the 90s. They gotten away from that. And I think people would watch, or even if they want to have D23 produce it and put it on YouTube or whatever, people will watch this stuff.
Yeah.
Remember Disneyland?
I still say, remember Disneyland? That's a sore subject for me, Tom.
Let me explain to people at home what Disneyland was, in case.
Yeah, Tinkerbell with. I mean, is there anything wrong with that?
Now there would be.
I love. Allison and I
Look at those
watched.
the headdresses. Oh man.
Yes, this is very culturally insensitive. That's why the warning was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Can the characters ride on the story boats like that anymore? I don't think so.
No, you wouldn't see that now. Characters will ride on occasionally, like the carousel, stuff like that.
Allison and I watched that Mouseketeers Go to Walt Disney World special, and I feel a lot like that one, like I do about this. I'm not really in it necessarily for the content, but again, that it's a time capsule for all of the cool things that were happening around this time. Like this clock? Is that what this is?
The world clock, yeah. It would tell you the time wherever in the world. I always love that shot of the woman in the dress just full force throwing that beach ball at that guy. So good.
And then here's Rocketeer Jr. again. I think it's interesting that there's a chain link fence around this like it was an elephant pen, something that hopefully they wouldn't do today.
It was for social distancing, Rob.
What was I thinking?
Me trying to get into Disneyland during the closure.
Hey, look, Sky Bucket's going through the mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, man, some of the looks.
Yeah.
Those sunglasses that lady was wearing, fantastic.
That's what makes these amazing. Is like you said, this time capsule of Disneyland.
And then Walt was his dolls again.
The attraction no one believed in. They were doing all these big things, and he's like, I want to do this little ride with dolls. And they're all like, what? And then it ended up being the most popular attraction at the 1964 World's Fair.
Sponsored by Pepsi.
Yeah. UNICEF.
Boo Pepsi.
Boo boo Pepsi.
Sorry. There you go, drinking the Diet Coke.
I am. I can't even put it in this cup. You can't use this cup. It's useless.
Ah.
Look at that model. Oh, my God.
Where is this model now?
Cool. Who knows? I would hope they have it, but you'd be amazed. No one thought to keep stuff back then. A lot of stuff was lost to time. They didn't know. Remember, the archives wouldn't be founded until the next decade. And even then, the archives, Dave Smith liked the movies. He didn't understand the park thing. So it was, people kind of forced the park stuff on him. So even after the 70s, it was still sometimes a fight to get him to take park stuff into the archives.
Yeah. Yeah, this facade is amazing. I didn't know what I was missing in Florida until I went to Disneyland and got to see the
Yeah.
actual Small World facade. I honestly was always impressed with Florida, and then I saw this. And again, according to you, if I go to see what's in Tokyo, this is going to be garbage.
No, it's not. No, so I don't like the Disneyland ride because I think Mark when Mark Davis started working on the Florida version, I think the getting rid of the flume and doing the open water worked better. And so Disneyland's still having the flume and kind of these dry sets, and there's a lot of blank space I'm not crazy about. But then Mark got to do Small World again for Tokyo, and so I think the Disneyland facade's the best one. There's no argument there. But the best version of the ride is Tokyo because it's essentially the Disneyland facade with the Florida ride, and if the Florida ride was maintained well. So, yeah. Look at this.
I like this part that we're about to see with him, like Walt, like aiming at the crowd and then like pulling back at the last second.
He's just a big kid.
Yeah, but I think that's a moment that really shows it. That's what's
Yeah.
exciting about it.
I mean, he just built this big creative playground.
Every time I see this part where they're making the induction speech and then they have the children of the world dump the water into the canal, it reminds me of the Fountain of Nations.
Yeah. Yeah, the Disney PR department didn't really know what to do after he passed away. They just kind of kept going back to the same well a couple times. Like, just do that again. It'll work. It's fine. What's
remember that
crazy
time
is
that
how
Walt dumped
little.
water?
Think of it. Look at how little that has changed. Like those control booths are still up on those little stilts. Like that hasn't changed a whole lot in over 50 years. It's kind of crazy.
It's amazing how that flume system looks like it came from my local pool.
Well, back then, I mean, that was the invention of this ride system, so it might have been a little rougher. I like that they just show the boxes that these doves came out of. The guy just shot the box. Balloons.
And you can't do that anymore, and you
No.
can't do balloons anymore.
You can't do anything you're going to see in this special anymore. You can't do that. Get your hand in the boat wall. They're just folding chairs like in the middle of the dock. You see that?
All I know is that I had the honor of getting in one of those small world boats, you, me, and one other person in the front of one of those boats. It was so snugly, it was so not socially distant.
Yeah. This shot where they shot Walt like over someone's head.
Is that banner still there?
The welcome?
That welcome? Yeah.
No. This isn't even actually what the first scene looks like. They changed the first scene. Because you've skipped like the whole North Pole. Well, I mean, it's North Pole
Yeah.
during Christmas, but yeah. You're already in like the next room. Maybe they just skipped the first room altogether in this. But this is crazy because this is essentially just Walt Disney narrating a full ride POV, what YouTube would call it now. That's what this is. It's a professionally shot ride through of a whole ride. And now the company's like, oh, we don't want to show too much because people won't come maybe. Meanwhile, Walt Disney's out here giving people the whole ride.
But don't you think part of that's because a lot of people were never going to see it? I'll give you a great example. I don't watch ride-throughs on domestic rides because I feel like I'm going to go see them someday. I actually watched the ride-through on Mystic Manor because I thought, I don't know when I'm going to go. And
But
maybe
see,
that was the same here.
For me, I don't feel like that ruins it. Also, I think this is great publicity. I mean, just because I'm watching it on screen doesn't mean, oh, I don't want to go see it. Like, I don't think it changes the feeling of, oh, do we want to go to this place or not?
I don't know. I avoided every spoiler on Rise.
Yeah.
Not
But
that,
also, like-
this is
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, not that this is Rise of the Resistance.
I was going to say,
mean,
like, it's
spoiler,
different
there are
between
small kids.
a Star Wars ride and a thing no one had even seen before. I mean, there's a big difference, probably. Like, people know what Star Wars is. It's a small world. Before you went to Disneyland, you may have not been aware of what that is.
But again, it's amazing to see like this whole thing in a time capsule of like when it first opened, and they
Yeah.
do a good job on maintenance there. But I mean, it'll never look like this again.
No, so the reason it looks like this is they literally just loaded the ride up from Queens and drove it back to Anaheim. So this is the World's Fair ride, and a lot of it wasn't built to last. And so over time, almost all of this has been replaced. Every backdrop and every prop you're seeing has been replaced at some point out of necessity. Supposedly, the story goes, the one original animatronic in the ride at Disneyland is the Winking Cleopatra. Supposedly, that is the original. Obviously, they've replaced parts in it and stuff, but essentially, and here she comes. This is supposedly still the original figure if you go today. That's at least what the company says. I don't know if that's true or not.
And do you think that's just because they felt like they needed to leave one thing original?
I think that was like an Imagineering decision where they're like, this figure's not that complicated. We can keep fixing her. But yeah, that's what happens over time. Like a lot of these things, like decades and decades and decades, you do have to rebuild stuff eventually, right? It's a shame to think that way, but I don't know how much of the Florida rides are original at this point, but maybe more than also that was changed at some point too. But
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah, that dancing was altered at a later time. That also doesn't exist anymore. They do not have the children of Africa laughing with the hyena. I think that's cute. I don't know why they changed that. I love that. It's pretty adorable.
And they seem to be some of the more animated figures because a lot of
Yeah.
them just kind of turn.
You'll notice, again, if you're only familiar with Florida, you'll notice a lot of the animals look very different. When they built the Florida one, I think they did have in mind, like, oh, these should look more permanent. I think the Florida ones also are more of their time. They're more of the early 70s than they are of 1964. You could see those late 60s inspirations artistically with the floral patterns on the animals, you know, on the hippo and on the cheetah or leopard, not cheetah.
All right, so here's a random question about the 64 World's Fair exhibits. Did they all come in within around the same time frame into Disneyland, or did it take a while to get each of them installed?
No. So Lincoln, they built two of Lincoln. So Lincoln debuted while still at the fair at Disneyland. And then Small World, they opened in 66 at Disneyland. So it took like a year to get it over. And then Carousel of Progress, kind of because it was lumped in with the Tomorrowland, which wasn't done until 67, opened in 67 with New Tomorrowland at Disneyland. I don't know what year Primeval World got added to the train. I don't remember the exact year on that. That was probably pretty quick too. I think that might have been 66 also.
But the train existed before they added the dioramas.
Yes. Yeah, they just added. He's like, oh, we've got this, and they already had the other diorama, the Grand Canyon. So Primeval World was just lopped onto that because they didn't want to, for whatever reason, maybe because Ford didn't want to spend money. They just decided Magic Skyway was the ride they weren't going to salvage from the fair for whatever reason. Maybe it was space. He didn't know where he wanted to put it. But of course, the Magic Skyway would go on to influence most of Epcot Center's opening attractions, funny enough.
Arlo wants to know what happened to the second Lincoln.
They probably used it for parts to fix the first one, probably. Come again. Look at those boats with the wood finish.
Yeah.
Those are gorgeous. Well, here's Lincoln.
Oh, well, now what do we talk about?
I don't know. This is called Disneyland Around the Seasons, and so far all we've seen are attractions. So I don't know. It's a weird. This
Well,
was a
I feel
weird. Like you
it's
said
like
before, it's a
this-
weird show.
Yeah. I feel like it's a framework that they did, kind of like Carousel of Progress. When you go
Yeah.
through, they've framed it with holidays, right? So that you know that there's a passage of, there's kind of like, again, just a framework. And that's what I think this is. It starts off with like fireworks, and then he's talking about spring, and like, it's not, they're not really showing that kind of stuff through here. They show the
Yeah.
East, is it the Easter parade? Is that parade considered an Easter parade when we
I
get to
think
that
so.
part?
We'll see when we get to that point. By the way, that was Julie Ream, the first Disneyland ambassador, helping Walt cut that ribbon. There's Lincoln. God, I miss this show. It's been to Disneyland in a while. Neither has anyone, but
Right, I was gonna say, it's been a minute.
obviously this isn't impressive now, but people in 1964 were shocked.
Well, and recently on the blog we had the video of the new animatronics with the blinking and the eye movements, and they just look almost creepy because they look so lifelike.
It's that uncanny valley thing, which when they built the shaman for Navi River Journey, it actually scared people, so they toned it down. So what you see on Navi River Journey is not the full facial capability of that figure. They had to tone that down because people were getting freaked out before opening. So they were just like, no, just tone it down a bit.
You know, this Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is a great show. It's very moving, very patriotic, and obviously kind of it was the precursor to the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're very different shows.
Well,
There's
he wanted
some
to
elements,
do
right?
he wanted to do Hall of Presidents for what you call it, what was it, Liberty Street or whatever it was. And then they were like, well, that's crazy. You can't do that many. And so eventually he settled on the president he liked the most, which was Lincoln. And that was possible. And obviously by the time Walt Disney World was in development, you know, Disneyland had succeeded. You know, they had developed all this technology with the money of corporations from the World's Fair. And they could afford to put, you know, 30-something animatronic presidents on a single stage, you know, for Walt Disney World.
Yeah. Well, now I'm watching this audience and again feeling like I always go very underdressed when I go to the parks.
Yeah.
And they're all so polite, and they're sitting up straight, and the kids look miserable. That part hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I remember my parents dragging me to Hall of Presidents because we were always East Coast, and it just felt like, ugh, we got to do this, and I guess if we do this, we can go do something I want to do.
Yeah.
But, you know, now I'm thankful that they did because I like going back to that and seeing it. But going to see Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln in California, knowing that it had come from the 1964 World's Fair,
Yeah.
and knowing like what it meant to Walt was an extra layer of moving to me on top of the patriotic.
Yeah.
And you were talking about Small World and like him kind of giving away the store in Small World. You're kind of getting that here too with Lincoln.
He's just not showing the film portion, but yeah, I mean, this is the whole animatronic speech.
And look how full that audience is. I don't remember seeing any more than 20 people watching that show with me in California, and that was pre-COVID.
Yeah. The only time I've been in there with a ton of people was they did a West Coast limited time Voices of Liberty a while back, and that was cool. It was in there, and it was, yeah, that was cool. But I'm glad Disneyland
they
understands enough that this is Lincoln is important and should be there, and it's something special. And so even if only 20 people are in a show, it's still worth having.
And when was it they tried to scare people away with Steve Martin? Was that the 50th?
That was the 50th, 2005, and then in '09, Tony Baxter was in charge of doing a new Lincoln show with the new animatronic, and they did a beautiful restoration and a recutting of the film. They restored and recut all the audio, including stuff that the narrator, they didn't end up using in the original, but was recorded for the show, and they recut it into, I think, a really nice version. They even threw in two brothers from American Adventure got thrown in, and then it ends with a Golden Dream from American Adventure too, which is, Tony did a nice job slapping that together. I like the current Lincoln show a lot.
Yeah.
Dare to do our duty.
You know, this is right on Main Street. When I was a little kid, the Walt Disney Story was on our Main Street in Florida. And again, my dad would always make us start there and, you know, watch the Walt Disney Story. Almost like, hey kids, this is where it all came from.
Yeah.
And again, very grateful that he made us do that. But at the time, it seemed like a chore.
Look at this model. Oh, so beautiful.
And I do like how they pushed the riverboat by it.
Yeah, it was cute. And this will be a year before Pirates are there. Oh, not even a year before Pirates open. Pirates open in March. It was a couple months before. So when did you say this aired? This aired in December?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're about 3 months away from Pirates opening.
Yeah, it was December 66. That is one crisp pocket square he's got there, or two.
Yeah.
And you know, like getting the history lesson here reminds me again of what I wished had happened with Disney's America Park. Like, I think it would have been so cool to see this on a large scale.
He would have loved that idea. I think it's a very Walt idea. Because in a lot of ways, Disneyland is a celebration of America in a lot of places. Obviously, New Orleans Square, but the riverboat and celebrating the Old West and Frontierland. Look at that outfit. That is an outfit. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, Disneyland, Main Street celebrating, middle of America. Yeah, there were a lot of places in Disneyland that celebrated a lot of pieces of America and its history. So, I mean, having a whole park of that is not that big of a departure from what Disneyland was to begin with.
Now, how far ahead of Pirates did New Orleans Square open?
It had opened just a couple months before he passed. So not even a full year ahead of Pirates. I think it was just one of those things where they wanted Pirates to open with New Orleans Square. It just didn't work out.
Was Blue Bayou open?
No, that opened with Pirates.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the sign and I was thinking,
It's there,
how would
but
you
yeah.
do that without Pirates being open?
No, they waited for Pirates. They have the same opening day. That's now Club 33. That staircase. So this is the biggest departure in the parks is back then, yeah, there was some Disney merchandise, but it really was about in each land having things that made sense. And people back then wanted that. There was something to be said for, these glass artisans and some of this stuff still exists. Like there is still some of this stuff you can only buy in New Orleans Square, the glass shop. But now, like, one of the stores is Pandora Jewelry. It's kind of sad. But that's kind of the evolution of the theme park. They've all gotten away from this. And you see vestiges of it when you go to, like, Knott's Berry Farm. There's a little more of that still alive.
Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, I don't know. There's a big difference between what they used to do at merchandise and then that merchandise presentation on Monday. where I just, oh, that's so overproduced, and these people are talking about merchandise, and every line is pre-written, and just, oh. Sorry, now we're just watching it because it's a great
Yeah, I know.
special.
I was looking at it, but like I was thinking about how crowded it was, but how civil everybody's being.
Yeah,
And even now with social distancing, I feel like people aren't always this civil.
yeah. Man, that restaurant hasn't changed a lot either, the French Market.
Same tables and chairs.
No, the tables are different.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
You'd be surprised. Sometimes you watch this and you're like, yeah, those tables are still there. And that stage is still there. It looks pretty much the same.
Do they still do music?
Yeah.
I mean, again, when it's
Yeah,
open?
Disneyland has kept the tradition very much alive of live entertainment. We're not good about it here. We're really the only I would dare say we're the only Disney park in the world that doesn't value our entertainment. We just continue to cut these musical acts away year after year. Look
Ooh,
at that.
so now we're moving on to dinosaurs.
Welcome to Tom Ooze
I
over
s-
Model.
I still think that they should have carved a space underneath the Neutron coaster, taken all those dinosaurs out of Epcot, and made our own version of this on the East Coast.
I think the management of maybe even 7 to 10 years ago would have done that. Instead, you're getting a big black tunnel. Big black tunnel. Not even any lights in it. Nothing even related to Tron. Just a dark black tunnel.
You're not going to bring me down about Tron, though.
I
I'm
like
so
Tron.
excited.
Tron was fun. Tron was one of the things from Shanghai I actually enjoyed.
And you said, "Come on, guys, build over here,"
Yeah.
and they did.
If that train station looks familiar, even though you've never been to Disneyland, that building behind the train, that's because that's where they filmed that portion of Two Brothers where they have the brother in the casket, the funeral. It's filmed in front of the
Really?
train station in New Orleans Square.
See, I knew that if I had you on, you'd tell me a bunch of things I didn't know.
Obviously, this was part of the Magic Skyway. Then they decided just to lift the dinosaur portion to here. And then when they were designing Epcot, when they were doing Universe Energy, they thought it made sense to mimic a lot of this. And so a lot of Universe Energy was drawn straight from the Ford Magic Skyway, at least this dinosaur portion.
Now, when you say mimic, did they already have molds, or did they just decide to pay homage?
Kind of an homage. A lot of them are not the same molds because you'll notice some of them look a little different. But like those first dinosaurs you saw, the ones, I don't know the name of the thing with the fin on the back, those are the same molds. And then you'll notice that the T-Rex is absolutely from the original mold. It might have been an updated figure, but the shape at least is going, like those guys are not the same. The pterodactyls are not the same. Those got altered for Universe Energy, but definitely, like, oh, we're going to do this again. Like, it turned out great at Disneyland. We don't have it at Disney World. Why not just kind of alter it a little bit and make it work for this attraction we're going to do?
So here's a question. On the train, all the cars don't face to the side like this, right?
No, there's at least one that faces forward, yeah.
Wonder why.
Because originally the trains all faced forward, and then they got new passenger cars to work with this, to work with the diorama and with Primeval World. Because they realized, like, oh, it's going to be hard for some people on one side to see any of this.
I guess my thought was, why not replace them all?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Walt and his toys.
So I believe the premise of the parade, if I remember this correctly, the premise of the parade is like every day is a holiday. I think that's the premise, so it goes
Okay.
through all the holidays. And at Disney World, we even had a stage show called Every Day is a Holiday where they went like through the seasons kind of deal. But is this specifically a Christmas parade? I haven't watched this in a while, so I don't remember.
No, I think this is specifically it's the Christmas parade, but I think it's
Okay.
a Festival of Fantasy parade.
Oh,
Is
and
that
they would
right?
have just overlaid it a little bit for Christmas, yeah.
Some
I
of
think
these
they did
things-
have,
oh
I
my
thought they
gosh.
did have a parade with like stuff from different seasons, but maybe I'm misremembering.
Oh, they might have. I love seeing those old style dangle decorations.
Yeah. So yeah, Fantasy on Parade would have been
Fantasy
their
on
usual
Parade.
parade, but this is kind of updated for Christmas. Oh God.
This part of this episode is kind of my favorite because it's super cringy in so many ways.
Yeah.
Some of them things that they would never do today. Some of them are like how bad some of these things are.
Yeah.
And then some of them are the people in the audience and how they're reacting.
Donald with those like
Like, that's just
mannequin
bad.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Oh, there's Pooh with the honey pot on the head. That's a good one. And just a tree. Someone dressed as a tree.
Yeah, but it has arms. Wouldn't that be scary?
Yeah.
Like there's no face. It's just
Winnie
a
the-
tree with
Winnie
arms
the
coming
Pooh
at
is
you.
karate chopping children.
And the brown eyes.
Oh, this Kanga costume is terrible. Oh man, it just looks like the guy's just waiting for his smoke break. It's real bad. Oh
Yeah, but like
man.
this right here,
Yeah,
the puppet
the
in the
puppet.
pouch.
Yeah.
Quality.
Eeyore. Look at that popcorn box. I have a tiny piglet puppet
Yikes.
too. There's that popcorn box.
Didn't they just make a popcorn box like that?
Yeah, they did. There's a. Not only is there a paper one, there's now also a souvenir bucket that looks like that.
I can't wait to go out to Disneyland and get. Oh. Hey,
What's
look,
this?
there's the Monsanto House
The
of
House of the
Tomorrow.
Future.
Is that what it was called?
House of the Future, yeah. I was gonna say this is what the Morocco Pavilion's gonna look like when Disney's done with it.
A whole new world. Yes. Again, some of this is very cringy.
I love that Captain Hook costume. It's so good. The Jay Leno Captain Hook.
You can just picture him going, yeah.
That Smee's pretty good. The Smee didn't, they changed it over the years, but that's not that far away from what the current one looks like.
Okay, the Peter Pan and the kids, I got a real problem with this one.
Yeah. Because there's no safety railings and someone just fly off of this thing. Dumbo's terrible.
that's all
No,
good.
I do not like upside down Dumbo.
But that's how they do these tricks.
There's a lot
I
of
think when we get
musicians.
to the live dogs is when I have a problem too. This just feels like a circus. The
Yeah.
whole thing does, right?
Yeah, the modern parade didn't really start until much later. Like parades were kind of, there were less floats and more entertainment, musicians, acts like this, yeah. Not until say like the 80s. The real modern Disney parade was born in probably actually with Electrical Parade kind of. So 70s, 80s, when Don would started making the modern, music system where the parade goes down the route and the music actually follows and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, these people seem to be having a pretty good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, at the time this worked. There's Big Bad Wolf. That costume hasn't changed a lot either. I love it.
There's one of these that's smoking, if I remember it correctly.
That sounds right. Pluto and his his doghouse.
But this is actually live dogs, right?
Yep. There you go. Do you think they were animatronic? Oh.
No, no, I just mean the idea that they have live dogs in a Disney parade.
Yeah, the parade's kind of like a variety show. A little vaudeville.
No, I didn't think they were animatronic.
Yeah, it's a little like it's more like a vaudeville performance than it is a parade.
Do you think that this Pluto was professionally trained as a dog trainer?
I have no idea.
It feels very much like the Macy's parade. Like, I wonder if it was like this all along the parade route where they would stop and do these performances, or if this was like the area where they would do them right here in front of
I mean,
the
she's
train
standing
station.
on the X. There's an X right there for her mark.
Well,
But
there you go.
can we talk about the Pearly Band, which is still a thing at Disneyland, and it's amazing they go back this far.
Sure. Talk about them all you want.
I
Go.
just want to say I love them. They're great.
That lady loves them too.
Pinocchio and Company.
What about these folding chairs that are out? I wonder about that.
I don't know. A lot of things might have been altered for TV filming. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Is that the
This
Reluctant
kid's
Dragon?
afraid? It's very cool.
Oh, the mouse ears.
Yeah. Goofy's gondola. It's a car.
Not a Skyliner vehicle. They actually made a toy in the early 2000s that was Goofy's Jalopy.
That the rubber.
And that
This car's on fire, by the way. This is why Minnie left Goofy for Mickey, by the way. He didn't like his car.
Jeez. Got the pyrotechnics going and Goofy getting his butt burned
This
is
would
always
not
funny.
clear OSHA today, this vehicle.
No?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I love that she just stayed in the car that's on fire the whole time. Like, Minnie, just stay there. Oh, there's the spare.
This was a whole bit.
Yep. And the
And
car's
the car's
driving
still on
itself.
fire.
It's a good bit. It's funny.
Hey. These guys, am I right?
What's cool is, like, this idea has come back through the years. You may people watching this probably remember the Heimlich in Pixar Play Parade did pretty much the same thing. The butterflies didn't come out, but the different pieces of Heimlich would march down the parade route and then separate and come back. It was fun. And there's been a lot of butterflies in Disney parades, Spectro Magic, a lot of others. It's turning into an art house film now, though.
You mean with the slow motion?
Yeah.
Honestly, this parade part is not my favorite part of this episode.
No,
And
we're
maybe
park
part of that
people,
is
though.
because
We want to
yeah.
see, like, park stuff, you know?
the rides and
Yeah.
Not whatever weirdness happened with the butterflies going into each of the sections.
You don't know how butterflies are made? Woman who doesn't look like Snow White coming down the parade route now.
We've come a long way with our meet and greet characters, haven't we?
Yeah. Just a tray of doves in a minecart. I find that's the best place to keep your doves, in the back of your minecart.
Okay. Oh, Alice in Wonderland. So, Disneyland feels like it's very heavy on Alice. Is it because of when Alice came out?
Yeah. Yeah, and Alice was in the 50s. Makes sense. And I tend to believe Alice was not super popular until later. I think people came around on Alice. I don't think Alice was a giant, like one of their biggest hits. Even Walt didn't like it. Walt's on the record as saying he didn't like it.
That's just one of the things that I noticed. It feels like it's heavier on Mary, heavier on Alice, and then now heavier on Nightmare than we get on the East Coast.
You would have thought with Mary, because it's Disney World's in development shortly after the movie came out. You would have thought something Mary Poppins would have made it into Disney World. It is kind of, it's odd that it didn't.
Yeah.
And once again, it's been foiled every time they try.
There's the guy that was smoking.
The rooster, yeah, that's why I had to watch the cultural sensitivity warning before the smoking rooster.
I don't like this.
You know. Oh. Uh-oh. I don't even know what's happening anymore. The gobbledygooker's going to come out.
The big problem is, for people who normally watch Deep in the Plus, for you need to have this going at the same time. I mean, the watch along is key, because some of these things we couldn't describe to you if we wanted to.
There are like roosters and chickens having like a 60s rave. I don't know. It's a scene.
What's in the eggs? Is it something rotten? From the chat.
Might be. There they are. They're my boys. The toy soldiers, which have become a staple of every holiday season at the Disney parks. And yeah.
I was going to say I really loved seeing them in that cavalcade that they put together this year.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I miss these guys. The reindeer with the tongue sticking out. I was very upset. What was it, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe even a decade already, when they got rid of these guys for those new like classy reindeer. Like these are like the soldiers. These are classic Disney. They're timeless. They're cute and charming. I miss them.
They're more timeless, more Disney.
Yeah. Yeah, I love these guys. But the soldiers, I
Well,
actually
this one just stole a kid.
I got to try on one of those soldier costume ones. It's not comfortable. It's a very hard shell, and it's not comfortable. It's very heavy.
And the Santa float has come a long way.
Well, now they don't throw out real toys, though, for the kids. There's a Magilla gorilla on there, which, by the way, was not a Disney property. Kids, look up Magilla gorilla, by the way.
Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah. Yeah, the Santa float has come a long way, although in this Santa float, there's no chance of Santa falling out the front.
It happened one time.
Yeah, but it happened in the social media era, so everyone saw it.
And then the big parade with more balloons, which again, you couldn't do today.
Oh, Keep ruining the environment.
The balloon budget for this time was insane.
All right, nighttime at Disneyland. Look at that. Oh,
The Candlelight Processional.
which isn't happening this year. It's very sad.
There's a lot of big traditions that aren't happening this year that are very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad to see something like this not happen. And you don't even think they'll find a way to just do one night virtually somehow?
I mean, I would have, but it's not going to be a thing. The problem is, how do you space the choir, right? And a choir would be super spreaders, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I get it. It's just a shame. Again, this goes back to, you know, the infancy of Disneyland, this tradition. Regardless of your religious beliefs, I think now it's just more about, it's more about the tradition than it is about what the Candlelight Processional actually is about, right? It's a Disney tradition that calls back to their roots. It's this big production.
I've seen a few of the Epcot ones, but I think to see the one at Disneyland would be pretty amazing.
It is almost impossible to see the one at Disneyland. It's hard to get tickets. And then, like, even the Club 33 people got to fight to get tickets every year. I have kind of seen it. We've had Carnation Cafe reservations during it, and so I've seen like a moment of it here or there, and at least seen what the spectacle looks like in person. But I'd never gotten to attend the actual show, which would be cool. But yeah, they only do it a
really
couple
cool
nights.
The way they do it.
Yeah, it's cool. And we used to do it at Magic Kingdom before Epcot opened, and then Epcot opened, we moved it there.
Same place at the train station?
I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very... I love the one at Epcot, and the fact that it holds so true to this one is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And then more models.
I like that there's a color version of the Small World facade, as if they were thinking about it even back then. Good ideas never die.
Oh, Walt was like, how do we projection map this? I think that's it, right?
Is that it? Are we previewing next week now?
Yeah, I think this is the Mother Goose tease.
Ludwig von Drake. Character we don't see
I love
enough
that they
of.
keep this stuff in.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should. I think all these things should be untouched. If you need, obviously this isn't a thing you need a warning on or anything, but I think regardless, whatever content is in these is in them. And I think if you want to put a warning at the beginning or whatever, I think all of this stuff should be untouched. Because the people that are going to find these things are not the people that are going to get offended anyway. These are people that are looking for this stuff.
Yeah. Excuse me. The Disneyland, or the Mouseketeers Go to Walt Disney World 1 had the commercials in it still.
I saw that,
which
yeah.
made it feel like it was right out of YouTube and not something that was cut specifically for Disney Plus. But at the same time, I kind of liked looking back at these old 70s commercials.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not saying everyone needs that, but some of the, like, if they're TV specials where you have the rights to show, like, the commercials of the time, I have no problem with you leaving that in, but it doesn't have to be on every one.
Yeah.
The truth about Mother Goose. That's some clickbait right there. Find out the truth about Mother Goose next week on Wonderful World.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they recommend the Imagineering story to me.
I also recommend the Imagineering story.
So we'll do a watch-along series of the Imagineering story.
I feel like that's been done. I feel like that was a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm aware.
If people want to watch those are still over on the WDWNT regular YouTube channel, not here on the entertainment channel.
And if this is your first time to the entertainment channel, please give us a subscribe. We would love to be able to give you notifications when we have new shows. We're going to see Cosmic Read live here. You're going to see the RPG here. Some Ride Rehab will be here. Geekly Kingdom will be on here. And now Deep in the Plus every week. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. is now going to be right here. So give us a subscription. We would love it. Click on that. And also give us a like. It helps Tom feed his ego.
Sure.
Sorry.
Oh.
Hey, wait! Are we wearing the same shirt?
I think so.
Where
did you get yours?
That shirt?
Where did you get it?
CarouselOfProducts.com.
Oh.
That's the place for all the cool merchandise.
CarouselProducts.com.
Sorry. Yep.
You just sent me a preview. You sent me a preview for something we have coming out for Christmas, and I was blown away. I'm very excited.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think yeah, that's going to be pretty awesome. I think that's going to be a pretty hot seller. So.
Yeah.
No, we can't.
Yeah.
Can't. But it's big time. And I'm saying that, and I didn't even design it. It's wonderful. I love it. I'm very excited. So again, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. But really what I want to ask you, Tom, is we've watched this whole thing all the way through. And I know you're a huge Parks fan, and you're a huge Disney fan, and you're a huge Walt fan. But let's just say you're new to Disney Plus and you're going to watch this thing. Is this something you would recommend to somebody? Is this the thing that stands the test of time if you're not a huge Parks fan?
No. No, I don't think it does. If you're not a huge Parks fan, I think I have introduced, last Christmas, I introduced family members to the park content by showing them the Imagineering story. I think the Imagineering story is a great documentary series for anyone. I think people, the same way like sometimes you just end up watching a Netflix documentary series, it was a topic you didn't even know about or thought you cared about, and it gives you a great introduction and it's this compelling story and you keep watching. I think the Imagineering story does that. I think some of this stuff, I don't know if general, like, I don't know, I see there's now a pre-opening report from Disneyland, that episode's on here. Stuff like that. I don't know if that's for regular people, but if you're watching this channel, you're probably not a regular people. You're probably one of us. And so I would recommend it to you, but no, not like I wouldn't, you know, Joe from Idaho, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, after you watch The Mandalorian, you should watch Disneyland Around the Seasons.
You don't think this comes up as a recommendation as the Mandalorian credits are rolling?
No. No, I don't.
Here's the thing here's the thing that I think about it is that, you know, it's a great, like I said, it's a great time capsule into the past of the Disney parks and specifically Disneyland. I love the fact that it gives you a little sampling of all of those attractions from the 1964 World's Fair. I love the fact that Walt hosts it. I mean, that's a huge thing for me. I can't imagine living in a world where Walt Disney was here. Like, he passed away before we were born, even me, even before I was born. So I can't imagine living in that world. It must have been pretty darn amazing, and I love it for that fact and very nostalgic about it. Very much love the parks aspect of it, but I agree with you. Like, if you're not a Disney Parks fan, I don't know that you would love this. I think it's a little sleepy. I think that whole parade is very weird. I don't think it's entertaining in 2020, although in 2020, I'm willing to watch anything Disney personally.
I mean, the gold standard of these, and I don't know if it's on here yet, maybe it is, the Tencennial, the Disneyland Tencennial special, where he previews Haunted Mansion and Pirates, and, you know, Mark Davis is talking about Mansion and, you know, and previewing all that stuff. That one is the gold standard of these. There is never a better one. And chances are anytime you watch anything with Walt talking about those attractions, it's usually just the clips from that one. But that's my favorite. This is a weird, wacky one that I also enjoy, though.
And you know, the other thing is it's around the seasons, but a lot of it is at the very end for Christmas. So I think that's why we talked about doing it now as kind of an introduction to the Christmas season. On Deep in the Plus, we've got a lot more stuff coming up. We're going to do Babes in Toyland. We're going to do the Santa Claus movies. But this is kind of like a sampling for that. But to me, the original, like, this is like the precursor to the Disney Parks parade. I used to love watching the Disney Parks Christmas parade every year when I was a kid. I would record them every year. I would make my family rewatch them. I love that the synergy of like, here's what's coming up and here's what's happening in the parks, and let's have somebody performing in Galaxy's Edge. So I feel like this show that we just watched was very much the precursor to the modern day Disney Parks special.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, a lot of, when you get into like the late 80s, and especially through the 90s, when we do like Back to the Future on News Today, a lot of the time when we pick out clips for those, it's usually someone previewing the attraction before it opened during the Christmas Day parade. Like specifically when we did Tower of Terror, you played the little clip of Regis saying, "I don't like this." That's when Regis Philbin previewed the Tower of Terror on one of the Christmas Day parades. So yeah, very similar.
I don't like this.
There he is.
Well, I mean, I meant it when I played that because some of that stuff in that parade just is too much. But I'm sure it was great at the time. So thanks, Tom, for sitting in for this. If you guys stuck with us at the beginning when we were having some technical difficulties, thank you guys for hanging around. We appreciate you. Thank you to all of our WIGS members. We love you guys. If you want to learn more about that program, go to patreon.com/WDWNT. And again, make sure to tell a friend about this channel so we can play more Deep in the Plus and other shows like this for you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for everybody who was listening. Y'all have a great night, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday night.
Bye.